الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد، وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، فقد جاء في الحديث الشريف: حب الدنيا رأس كل خطيئة. These days we're commemorating the death of the sons of Muslim ibn Aqil. We'll describe the story, inshallah, and as we're describing the story, we'll derive some lessons from it. But the overall story reflects how the human greed can sometimes take the human out of the state of being a human. It's a beautiful case for the detrimental love of the materialistic world. We see sometimes, even in this day and age, certain nations, for the sake of their own interest, doing things that might affect other people's lives, millions of people's lives, but they don't care. It is only the interest. The philosophy of the end justifies the means is the one that is constantly being applied, and we see it. Take a look at the poverty in the world. Take a look around you at the number of illiteracy. Take a look at the number of individuals needing health care that is not being provided for them. Economists say that we have enough wealth to share with the people. There is enough wealth for everybody. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He creates people, He creates enough for all of them. But the problem occurs is when the people themselves, they decide to hold on to some part. They decide to take some of the wealth and they want to distribute it. And that's where the disaster occurs. That's where the disaster occurs. Here we have a story that reflects this. And as we see the story and as we go through it, we'll see that how much it resembles our world today. And we see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just, is adil. Because what goes around comes around. This story, brothers and sisters, as we go through it, makes us reflect upon our akhirah. What really counts in the human being's life. What counts? What will be left behind? Is it the money? The money will be inherited. So what? It is what good has an individual done for others for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It makes us reflect upon this reality. We will go through the story as described by Al-Shaykh Al-Saduq, may Allah be pleased with him, in his Amali. I will add certain details, and of course the comments will be from me. Al-Shaykh al-Saduq, Ridwanullah ta'ala alayh, states that after the battle of Karbala, two children, two brothers from the sons of Muslim ibn Aqil escaped, ran away. You know, when the Umar ibn Sa'd, they came to attack the tent and burn the tents of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, those two children ran away. Shaykh al-Saduq doesn't mention their names, but in some other books it is mentioned that their names were Muhammad and Ibrahim. Muhammad was 1 year older than Ibrahim. In some books it is mentioned that Muhammad was born in the year 52 after Hijrah, and Ibrahim was born in the year 53 after Hijrah. They were both killed in the year 62 after Hijrah, which is a year after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi in Karbala, making them about 9 and 10 years of age, approximately. Nonetheless, those two children, they escape from the battlefield, but they are found and they're taken as prisoners and captives to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad in Kufa. Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad states to one of his guards, take them, those two boys, put them in the prison, don't give them good food, nor give them good drinks, but keep it tight on them. Two boys. It tells you the aggression of Bani Umayyah. And sometimes an individual, how could he be stripped of his human character? He's not a human anymore. Two children, ages 10 and 9. Take them and put them in the prison. So this individual, this guard, takes them and put them in the prison. They stay in the prison for about 1 whole year. 1 whole year. They're being given just 2 pieces of bread. Just they give them a bread, each one, and a little bit of water. They would fast in the daytime and eat at night. Allahu Akbar. These individuals, now a child at the age of 9 and 10, they're fasting the daytime and eating only at night. These two boys were affected apparently from their uncle or from their cousin Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi. When an individual is with Imam Hussein alayhi salam and with Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, and he says this is what they do, this is what Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam did to Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhim salam. And so Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein grew up in this environment, and you find that those who lived in the house of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhim salam, those who grew up with them in their homes, they come with the same spirit. This is the spirit of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, which tells us, brothers and sisters, that we have to give this spirit to our children by talking to them about, for example, Muhammad and Ibrahim, the sons of Muslim. We encourage our children that, look, these two children, they were fasting in the daytime. Now, I know, I realize sometimes it's difficult, the day is long, but maybe in winter times, you can tell them, you can fast. Try to fast. You can teach children to give sadaqat, charities. Talk to your children about the merits of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So teaching them from their childhood, from their upbringing, we're instilling in them these values of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. They used to fast in the daytime and break their fast and pray at night until about 1 year. After 1 year, one of the brothers turned to his brother and he said to him, for about a year, we have been living this difficult life. We're about to die. So what do you think if we talk to this guard, who apparently was an older man, And we tell him that we are from the progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we come from the Itratul Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and maybe he will let us go. So they agreed. At night when the guard came, look at the way that those two children speak. They turned to this guard and said, "O guard, do you know Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?" He said, "Of course, he's my prophet. I know him." They said, "Do you know Ja'far ibn Abi Talib?" He said, "Of course, I know him. He is the one who's got wings that he flies with the angels. I know who he is, of course." They said, "Do you know who Ali ibn Abi Talib is?" They said, "Of course. Ali ibn Abi Talib is the cousin and the brother of my prophet." They told him, "Then, Ya Shaykh, we are from the family of your prophet. We are from this family. We are the children of Muslim ibn Aqil." Look at the way, the akhlaq of these young children. Look at the way they're speaking with this sheikh. Look at the way that they have been taught. Today, some of our children, especially from the cartoons that they watch and the TV that they watch, and certain things that they watch, they are taking these manners which they've lost basically. They're taking these attitudes from the television and implementing it. The way that they talk with one another, the way they talk with elders. I remember over a decade, or about a decade ago, I was reading in the Vancouver Sun, the daily newspaper in Vancouver, and there was a counselor, school counselor, who was saying that children today are lacking the basics of manners. The basics. Families are not spending time to teach their children. Father is busy, the mother is busy, and the child, where does he get his manners from? From the television. And what does the television see? One day sit down and watch what the children watch and see. Nonetheless, look at these two children and how kindly, compassionately they're talking with this man. So this man, when he hears that they're the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he starts crying. He says, "Nafsi, nafsikum al-fida," that may I be sacrificed for you too. I didn't know this. So I will let you leave. In the night, he brought them their bread. He gave it to them with some water. They took the water and the bread, and he opened the gates and he told them, "Listen, travel at night and hide in the daytime, so that inshallah you'll be saved and you'll be in safety. Travel at night and hide in the daytime." So they left. They escaped. They escaped. They walked and walked and walked and walked until they came, finally when the night came, they found a house. They knocked at the door of the house. An old lady came out. Subhanallah, the story resembles of what happened to their father, Muslim ibn Aqil. The lady opened the door. She saw two young children, so innocent, so handsome, so beautiful. She told them, "Ya Habibayya, oh my loved ones, who are you? And what are you doing here in this time of the night?" The two boys told her, we are from the family of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we are the children of Muslim ibn Aqil. And we ran away from the prison of Ubaidillah ibn Ziyad. Can you provide us with a shelter for the night? And then tomorrow, early in the morning, we will leave. She said, I would love to, but I have a son-in-law. My son-in-law participated in the battle against Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He's among the soldiers of Ubaidillah ibn Ziyad. I'm afraid if I take you and shelter you here tonight, he might come and grab you. They said, just for the night, and we will leave early in the morning. She admitted them, of course. She gave them food and water. Then they went to rest in a room. One hugged the other. He said, let's hug each other and smell each other, so that when we die together. They stayed. In the middle of the night, the old lady's son-in-law comes in, that wicked man. His name is not mentioned by Shaykh al-Saduq, but some narrations say his name was Harith ibn Urwa al-Ta'i. So this man, this wicked man, Harith, comes in, he knocks at the door. He pounds on the door. So the old lady comes, says, who's this? He says, open the door, it's me. She said, you usually don't come at this time of the night. Why are you here? He said, open the door, I'm so tired. It's been a long day today and a difficult day. She said, what's the problem? What's the matter? He said, two children ran away from Ubaidillah ibn Ziyad, escaped, and I have been looking for them because Ubaidillah ibn Ziyad has given a prize. Anyone who finds them and brings them their heads, he will give 1,000 dirham per head. 1,000 dirham. So 2,000 dirham in total. Subhanallah, sometimes dunya, how cheap it could be. Subhanallah. A person sometimes sells this dunya for this. We sometimes, the time of salat comes, and we delay our salat. Why? Because we're doing a business deal. When in fact, salat is connecting us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We forget about that and we go with the business deal. Nonetheless, what can you do? Sometimes we have to learn, brothers and sisters. We have to learn to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to find out where are the priorities in our lives. So, 2,000 dirham. He says, let me in. She said, be careful. Don't make the Holy Prophet your enemy on the day of judgment. Don't be the enemy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of judgment. He said, open the door. So she opens the door for him. He says, are you hiding something? Come with me to Ubaidillah ibn Ziyad, to the Amir. She said, what would he do with me? He said, sit down and open the door. So she opened the door, he came in. She gave him some food and drinks. In the middle of the night, he heard some noise coming from the room. He got up. He approached the room in the darkness of the night until he found the two boys. He put his hand on the younger one. He saw there is a child. He said, who is this? The child woke up. He woke his brother up. He said, this is what we are afraid of. I think it has happened. They said, who are you? He said, I am the owner of the house. Who are you two? They said, if we tell you, do you give us the safety? Al-Aman? He said, yes, you have the safety. They said, do we have the safety of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger? He said, yes. They said, is Allah a witness over what you're saying? He said, yes. Said, the Holy Prophet is a witness over what you're saying? He said, yes. They said, we are from the progeny of your Prophet, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And we are the two boys that ran from Ubaidillah ibn Ziyad. We escaped from him. He said, you ran away from death and now you have come to death. Allahu Akbar. After giving all these words, nothing, dunya. That's why this hadith that we recited at the beginning of the majlis says, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا رَأْسُ كُلِّ خَطِيئَةٍ. The love of dunya, of this materialistic world, is the essence of every sin. This person, just the love of dunya has just encompassed him. 2,000 dirhams. That's why Imam al-Sajjad salamullahi alayhi in dua Abi Hamza al-Thumali says, Allahumma akhrij hubba dunya min qalbi. Oh Allah, remove the love of this materialistic world from my heart. Because it can blind sometimes. Sometimes you find an individual who wants to hurt another individual because of jealousy, because of hate, because dunya. Sometimes two spouses. One hates the other, starts hating the other and wants to take revenge from one another, forgetting about all the good things that they have and they shared in the past. All about it, forgetting about. Two brothers, siblings from the same mother and father, fighting with one another, backbiting one another, wanting to kill one another if they had the chance to do so. For what? All for dunya, wal-'iyadhu billah. Love of dunya. And then what? Nonetheless, he says, he takes them, he ties their hands with a rope and their feet. They spend the whole night tied up until the morning. The morning he takes his servant, a servant that he has by the name of Fulayh, or Falih. And apparently he was a black man. He takes him and he tells him, come with me, take the sword, take these two children, and let's go kill them by the river and dump their bodies in the river. Yani he does not even want to bury their bodies. Wal-'iyadhu billah. He takes them. The two young men walk with this black servant. Then they look at the servant and they say to him, your dark skin is like that of Bilal, the mu'adhin of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih. Allahu Akbar. Look at these two young children. So this man was surprised. Two children speak this language, talk like this. They comparing him with Bilal. He said, who are you two? They said, we are from the progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih. And your master wants to kill us. This black man was an honorable man. His master was a wicked person. Although he was an Arab, although he was, let's say, a master, but in Islam it does not distinguish between black or white. It is taqwa and piety. This black man apparently was a person who was a believer, a mu'min. He fell on the feet of these two children, kissing them, saying, may I be sacrificed for you two. I would never hurt you two. He then threw the sword and ran away, swam into the river and went to the other side. His master called him and said, you have disobeyed me, O my servant. He said, I am obeying you for as long as you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now that you want to disobey Allah, I will not obey you. That's it. I obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want me to do something that's haram, I will not do it. And he swam on the other side and ran away. Then the man turned to his son. He told his son, pick up the sword and go kill these two boys. Sever their heads from their bodies. The two boys go with this young man. They look at him and they tell him, you're a young man and we are worried about your youth. What will happen to it later? Again, this man was surprised. 2 children speaking like this. He said, who are you two? They said, we are from the progeny of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Itratun Nabi, the family. And your father wants to kill us. He said the same thing the black man said to them. May I be sacrificed for you. He threw his sword again, swam into the river and went to the other side of the river. His father called him, you're disobeying me, my son. He said, I would rather obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the cost of disobeying you than disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the price of obeying you. I don't want to obey you when Allah is being disobeyed here. And he left him. So he said, I will do it myself. He came to these 2 young children. He took the sword. He removed it from its sheath. When the 2 boys saw the sword, their tears started gathering in their eyes. They told him, oh man, why don't you take us and sell us in the market and make money of us rather than have the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam be your enemy on the day of judgment? Why do you want to be the enemy of the Prophet on the day of judgment? Go sell us, make money. He said, no, I want the 2,000 dirhams. Allahu Akbar. He's been blinded. Khalas. They said, okay, why don't you respect our relationship to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi? He said, you have no relationship with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. They told him, why don't you take us alive to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and see what he judges, what he says. Why do you want to kill us? Take us live. He said, no, I want to kill you and I want to take your heads to him because that's a prize. They said, well, how about you have mercy on our young age? He said, I have no mercy in my heart towards you too. Allahu Akbar. When they saw this, they turned to him and they said, in that case, can you give us time to pray? He said, sure, I will give you time to pray. See if your salat will help you. They went to pray and then they prayed 4 rak'at salat. The same thing their father did. Muslim ibn Aqil did the same thing to the person who killed him. Then he came after that they prayed their salat. They turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, Ya Hayy, Ya Hakim, Ya Ahkam al-Hakimin, Ihkum baynana wa baynahu bil-haq. They prayed this dua. That judge, O one who's eternal, who's live, O one who is wise, judge between us and between him with justice, with the truth. So, he goes, he kills the first, the older one. He takes his head and he dumps the body into the river. The second man, the younger brother, comes and he puts his head into the blood of his brother. And he says, this is how I will meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi. He comes to the second man and he also to the second child. And he says, yes, you will join your brother now. And he severs his head as well. And he takes it to, and he dumps the body and takes it to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. When he goes to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he says, I brought you the 2 heads. Now give me the prize. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, it is said he was sitting down. He got up, sat down 3 times, and then he told him, tell me what happened. So he told him everything that happened, step by step. He asked him, what conversation went between you and them? Did they say something? He said, yes. They told me Sell us. But I said, no, I want to kill them. I want to kill you and get the prize. They told me, have mercy upon us. He said, there is no mercy in my heart towards you. They told me, take us alive. He said, so why didn't you bring them live? He said, no, I wanted to get the nearness to you. He said, if you had brought me them live, I would have given you 4,000 dirhams, not 2,000. Anyways, he said, then what did they do? He said, then they prayed. He said, after the prayer, did they do something? He said, yes, they made a dua. He said, what did they do in the dua? What did they say? He said, this is what they said. O one who's alive, Ya Hayy, Ya Hakim, ahkum baynana wa bayn, Ya ahkam al-hakimin, ahkum baynana wa baynahu bil-haqq. Ya Hayy, Ya Hakim, Ya ahkam al-hakimin, ahkum baynana wa baynahu bil-haqq. He says, and Allah has done the justice between you and them. He ordered one of his guards to go and kill this man. He killed him. And he brought his head to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. He put it on a spear and mounted it in the streets of Kufa. Children were throwing him with pebbles and stones and calling that this is the one who killed the progeny of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. He lost dunya and akhirah. And their death quite resembles the death of their father, Muslim ibn Aqil, salamullahi alayhi. When the man turned to him, also after being taken to the palace, the roof of the palace of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he told to the man who was supposed to kill him, the guard, he said, give me a few moments to pray. He prayed. Then he turned towards Medina and he said, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Oh, peace be upon you, Ya Aba Abdullah. This is Muslim ibn Aqil, your cousin, all alone in Kufa. And look at what the people are doing to me. They have betrayed the trust and betrayed their allegiance to us. Then the man hit him once with a strike on his neck, but it didn't do anything to him. Then he hit him a second time, and the head separated from the body. Then they dumped the body from the top of the palace to the ground. Then they started dragging the body of Muslim into the streets of Kufa. Taw'a came and saw that, and she cried, Aywa Muslima, Aywa Sayyida, المقدر قضى وشاعت أخباره, رموه القوم من قصر الأمارة. This is how they treated him. Imam Hussein, it is said, when he heard the voice of Muslim giving him his salam, he was in a place called Zubala. He got up and he turned to his cousin Muslim and he said, Wa alayka as-salam ya Muslim, and peace be upon you too, ya Muslim. We'll be joining you shortly. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Oh Allah, we ask you by the blessing of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad that you fulfill our hajat. Ya Allah, اقضي حوائج المحتاجين، شافي وعافي جميع مرضى المؤمنين والمؤمنات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، 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 أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم اكشف عنا السوء يا الله، اغفر ذنوبنا يا الله، ارحمنا برحمتك الواسعة يا أرحم الراحمين، وفقنا لما يرضيك، جنبنا معاصيك، اجعل عواقب أمورنا إلى خير. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من شيعته وأنصاره وأعوانه. اللهم بمسلم ابن عقيل وابني مسلم ابن عقيل ارزقنا شفاعة الزهراء يا الله يا الله يا الله، لقضاء الحوائج ولشفاء المرضى ولكشف هذه الغم عن هذه الأمة ولتعجيل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان، وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. رحم الله من يقرأ السورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.